As is customary during the middle of the day, the Horton Town Square was bustling with activity, with merchants selling flowers, couples enjoying coffee at the cafe, and the sound of Salem's gossip mill constantly in the background. However, it was clear that a storm was brewing beyond the cheerful facade. Gabi Hernandez walked confidently around the square, her heels clicking with intent and her black eyes flashing with a fiery intensity. J.J. Deverox had been inquiring about her most recent business endeavor, which was the new fashion line that Dimura Enterprises had introduced, according to a mutual acquaintance who had just informed her of this. He had the audacity to interfere in her life after spending so much time away from it. Gigi was about to find out that Gabi was not the type of person to ignore a slight without responding to it. As she approached the fountain, she noticed that his paramedic outfit was rumpled after a long shift and his hair was unkempt, allowing the sunlight to capture it. Despite the fact that JJ was speaking with a seller, Gabi was aware of the situation. Gigi was all grins and Horton charm. That charming demeanor concealed a resolute determination, a trait that had repeatedly come into conflict with her fierce temper. There were petty disagreements, a brief flirtation that ended in disaster, and a betrayal that neither of them had fully forgiven inside their history. Their history was a minefield. Gabi yelled out, "J.J. Deverox," with a voice that was piercing enough to break through the chaos of the conversation. A sense of drama caused heads to turn. "We need to have a conversation." JJ's emerald eyes narrowed as he turned his back on her, and his smile began to fade. "To Gabi, where does this come from? The clock is off for me." "Oh, don't act like you're innocent," she yelled, bringing the distance between them closer together. A striking contrast to this casual outfit was the fact that she was carrying a fancy purse by her side. "It has come to my attention that you have been snooping around my company and asking questions regarding my fashion portfolio. In what way do you feel? Do you feel envious that I am making moves while you continue to play the role of a hero with a stethoscope?" Despite the tightening of his jaw, JJ maintained his level tone. "Wow, the allegations come right out of the gate. Due to the fact that a friend of mine indicated that your line might be taking shortcuts, I had one question for you, Gabi. On the other hand, ethical matters, such as the kind of behavior that you have been caught engaging in the past." Gabi's prior plans, including her cutthroat takeover bids and her questionable affiliations with the Dimura family, were brought to mind by the jab, which caused a significant amount of damage. The tone of her voice was low and poisonous as she moved closer. "JJ, you have no right to pass judgment on me, not in light of what you caused. On the other hand, have you forgotten how you betrayed me to the authorities in relation to that cocaine bust? You betrayed my trust, and I was left hanging out to dry." The familiar feeling of shame flickered in JJ's eyes as he flinched. When Gabi was going through a difficult time in her life, she had gotten herself involved in a transaction that had gone awry. JJ, who was just starting out as a police officer at the time, had handed over evidence that implicated her, putting his duty ahead of their fragile friendship. Gabi had spent several months in jail as a result of it, and it had put a scar on their relationship. "You are aware of the fact that that was different," JJ replied, raising the volume of his voice. "Gabi, you were in a perilous situation with some really dangerous people. I wasn't trying to destroy you. Rather, I was guarding you. Is it possible that you have never been able to accept responsibility? Constantly pointing the finger, always playing the victim. Will you protect me?" The biting and acrid sound of Gabi's laughter drew even more attention to herself. "JJ, you wanted to play the role of the good guy, and I was just a bystander," she said. "Avoid acting as if it were a noble act. You simply were unable to deal with the fact that I was outsmarting you." They were being drawn back to the raw and muddled feelings of their past as the dispute continued to spin out of control. In the vicinity of them, the square had become silent, with bystanders acting as if they were not paying attention while they hung on every word. It was spectacles like this that Salem thrived on, and Gabi and JJ were delivering on that promise. With a look of exasperation written all over his face, JJ raked his fingers through his hair. "You are just incredible. You asked me one question about your dirty business, and all of a sudden I'm playing the role of the villain. It is possible that people would not question you if you did not have a history of providing false information." As Gabi's hands clenched into fists, her eyes shone with excitement. "Is it shady? JJ, my fashion line is a legitimate business. I began with nothing and worked my way up. While you were out here chasing your halo, I created it from the ground up. As a matter of fact, I do not require your approval or the approval of anyone else. My name is Gabi Hernandez, and I am the one who establishes my own guidelines. The response that JJ gave was, yeah, and that's the problem. You believe that the rules do not apply to you. You make your way back into Salem, acting as if you own the area, yet you are still the same Gabi who destroys relationships and expects everyone else to pick up the debris. These statements were painful because they were so close to home. Her mind flashed to the bridges she burned, including her strained connection with her daughter Ari, her tumultuous history with Will and Sunny, and the adversaries she formed in the Demira boardroom. For a single second, Gabi's swagger failed. However, she did not like to show vulnerability. After straightening up, her smile became icy. "You want to talk about messes, JJ?" he asked. "Why don't we talk about you? Your mother continues to cast a shadow over you, and you continue to act as if you are the golden boy. That is going to work out, right? Oh, hold on. Based on what I've seen, your romantic life is a complete mess, and you're stuck in a career that leads nowhere. Could it be that you were the one who is feeling envious?" This caused JJ's face to flush, and her comments cut very deeply. It was common knowledge in Salem that he confronted a number of challenges, including failed romances, issues with addiction, and an ongoing struggle to demonstrate his worth. "You don't know anything about my life, Gabi," he continued in a tone that was low and menacing from the beginning. "But do not stop chatting. You are really able to do that." They remained there for a few moments, inches apart, the air crackling with the emotion of rage that had not been resolved. Missed opportunities, broken trust, and the stubborn pride that put them at odds with one another were all caused by the past, which hung heavy between them. Gabi intended to let out a scream in order to convey to JJ the magnitude of her pain. However, JJ's feet would not move, despite his desire to leave the room. Immediately before to any of them being able to speak, a voice broke the tension. "The two of you have had enough." Standing between them with his arms folded, Roman Brady took a step. There was no quarrel that was kept a secret in Salem, and the presence of the bar owner served as a reminder of this tight-knit community. "You are causing a commotion, and I will not tolerate it in the central plaza of my town. This should be taken to another location, or even better, you should mature and let it go." Gabi's gaze briefly shifted to Roman, and then it returned to JJ. She wanted to have the final word, but Roman's look prevented her from doing so. While she was turning on her heel and ruffling her hair, she let out a huff. "This isn't over, JJ," she yelled out over her shoulder as she walked away from the situation. In a state of exasperation, JJ watched her leave while his chest tightened. The phrase, "Yeah, it never is with you," was mumbled by him as he kicked at a rock. A hand was placed on JJ's shoulder by Roman, but he brushed it off and continued walking in the opposite direction with his head. During the time when the crowd was dispersing and muttering about the confrontation, a man lingered by the cafe without being spotted. As Gabi's daughter, Ari Horton, she had witnessed everything. Her facial expression was unreadable, but her eyes contained a glimmer of interest, and perhaps even a little of the ferocity that her mother possessed. Regardless of what Gabi and JJ's argument had uncovered, it was just the beginning of the story.